But my object in referring to this visit to Gotha is to say something of a man whose name belongs in the history of the last century, though it was raised to undue importance by the malignant exaggerations of party spirit. During the heat of the First Revolution in France, 2 works appeared, one in England by Professor Robison of Edinburgh, and another, the more voluminous, in France by the Abbé Burel, with the common object of showing that the revolution and all the horrors consequent on it were the effect of a conspiracy deliberately planned and carried out on the continent of Europe by an order of infidels, who, by means of secret societies, planned to destroy all thrones, overturn all altars, and completely upset the established order of things. The society to which this scheme was ascribed had the name the Illuminati. They were supposed to have ramifications everywhere. The Kantian philosophy was one of the instruments. Indeed, more or less every union of men and every variety of thought opposed to monarchy and popery had about it the suspicion of illumination. And of this tremendous evil, the founder and archdeacon was Adam Weishaupt. When I found out that this notorious man was leading a secluded life in Gotha, I determined to call on him. On entering his room, I remarked that he was both embarrassed and reserved, and it was not till I had introduced myself as one anxious to see him, though I knew of him only from his enemies, that he seemed willing to enter into conversation with me. On my taking leave, he even invited me to repeat my visit, and I went to him 3 times. He told me frankly that I was let into his house through the stupidity of a servant girl. He said he held in abhorrence all travellers who made impertinent calls, and especially Englishmen. He would not gratify the curiosity of such men. In saying this, he was, perhaps, not departing from that character which his enemies ascribed to him. Indeed, as is usual in such instances, the statements made concerning him are founded in truth. The falsehood lies in the exaggeration of some parts of his history and in the omission of others. Weishaupt would not deny that he was brought up among the Jesuits, or that in his opposition to them he availed himself of the resources which he acquired through his connection with them. And he did form a secret order at a time when, especially in the south of Germany, an open expression of free opinions would have endangered liberty, and perhaps life. That the end was good, according to his first intention, and that there were, at times, perhaps a mixture of goodness in his motives, may reasonably be conceded. Many eminent men attached themselves to the order. It had always been said that Maximilian, the first king of Bavaria, was favourable to it, nor does the history of his reign contradict the report. The church, the courtiers, and the aristocracy were, however, too powerful for the conspirators. The society was broken up, a fierce persecution arose, and Weishaupt was happy in making his escape and obtaining the protection of the learned Duke of Saxe-Gotha and the Duchess. When I saw him, he was about 56 years of age, and his appearance was in no respect prepossessing. His features were coarse, his voice harsh, and his manners abrupt and awkward. But his conversation made a strong impression in my mind. He showed no great anxiety to vindicate himself against the prevailing opinion respecting him, or to dwell on those sentiments which would be most likely to gain popular favour. On the contrary, he uttered things which it requires boldness and indifference to evil report to express. Among his sayings, one was delivered with peculiar emphasis. One of my tests of character is what a man says about principle. A weak man is always talking of acting on principle. An able man does always the right thing at the right moment, and therein he shows himself to be able. He even went so far as to say that there are times when it is foolish to be just. He took a desponding view of human life and seemed to think human society unimprovable. The practical writings of Weishaupt are of value, the speculative were never esteemed. He wrote against the Kantian philosophy, but his works were not read. His Pythagoras, as he said, contains all the statistics of the secret societies, but the vast extension of education since Weishaupt's time has rendered this less important than it was even then. he is said to have been an admirer of Bonaparte. This is natural with his peculiar habit of thought. For the French character, he professed great contempt, and for the English, high admiration. To poetry and the fine arts, he was indifferent.